on behalf of the Institute for Leadership and Strategic Foresight. Welcome to So You Want to Be the Chief, a podcast for leaders.
Another great day on this earth, man. Some of us appreciate it more than others because we don't have all of the experience that others have. But I have my brother who used to be a chief, and now he's a retired chief. So we had to add that a little bit ahead of time. Dan Hill has been around for 30 years. And just recently, I'll say recently, I'll ask him in a few minutes how long he's been retired. But I had him on the show last year, and we talked about what it takes to be a good chief and his upcoming retirement. And now I thought, let me go back and see how he's doing, and let's capture some thoughts because he's got some experience that he didn't have. What was 6 months ago? I think it was something like that.
Yes, sir.
We were
about
together.
6 months ago.
Chief Master Sergeant retired, or maybe refired. We'll talk about that. Dan Hill, thank you for being on the show again, brother. Congratulations on your retirement, and thank you and your family for your service, man. You know, sometimes we forget the families. The families did a lot for us. They do a lot for us.
No doubt.
We hope that you got your boys and your wife a new BMW as you retired. I take it that didn't happen.
We're working on that. We're working on that.
Sounds good. Well, I know someone, so let me know, and I'll help you out. But anyway, again, congratulations, and thanks for being on the show again. So, remind me, you were thinking about stuff last time we talked that was coming up, and now it has come up. Did everything work out? And one of the reasons I wanted to get you on the show and talk about this is because there's a lot of trepidation, maybe some almost fear, Dan, by some people who are retiring. Not all chiefs, but especially the chiefs is like, I don't know what I'm going to do. Well, did you go through that? Or, when we talked last, you seem to have a good idea of what you wanted to do. Now you're here.
For me, I don't think it was fear. I think it was more of it was a little bit of I guess hesitation. Because you're stepping into something new. You are.
And you served 30 years, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes, sir. 30 years. And so I think as you're moving towards the date, I think you get a lot of, thoughts like, how am I going to move about in a new system? Because you've become familiar with this system for 30 years. I knew every day what I was going to do. I'd wake up on Monday, shave, put on a uniform, and head to work, and do
well,
my
obviously you're not shaving anymore.
No, of course not. Of course not. Yes. So that becomes routine. That becomes part of who you are. And I did it for 30 years. I joined in 96, as Airman Hall, and then ended up as, Chief Hall. And so, you kind of get used to it. Responsibilities change as you get more rank, but it's pretty much the same thing, Like you get up, and you walk into work with a goal of being the best airman you can be and taking care of people. And that's always kind of been my motto from day one until the last day. And so for me, I don't think it was fear because I come from a military background as well. So my father was retired Army.
Oh,
so my brother's he's in the Army. My brother-in-law, he's in the Navy. My grandfather was in the Navy as well. And so, sorry, I messed it up. My brother-in-law is a retired Marine. I don't want to say Navy.
You don't want to mess with
that. Trouble at the house. Exactly. Yes. And so retiring was something that I was really familiar with when it came from a military standpoint. I knew all of us at some point and sometime we were going to retire from the military. Whether you wanted to or not, the military was going to eventually shoot you an email and say, I appreciate your service, but it's time. And so that's always in the back of my mind. So I don't think for me it was fear. I think it was just something new, a little bit of nervousness, trying to figure out what lane I wanted to be in and how I was going to go about doing it. Because I had created certain things that I enjoyed or I loved about the military. I loved engaging with young airmen. I love the, camaraderie amongst other airmen, amongst other chiefs, and you're about to lose that. And you're like, so where am I going to find that
Yeah,
somewhere
yeah,
else?
yeah. Now, you're a young man, so it's different between you and me. I got, I don't know, 20, 30 years on you, but although it doesn't look like it, right? Am I
No, sir. You're looking young. You're looking
thank
young.
you, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes.
But what we've done and the person that we've become, and I'm working on a book on identity. It's called Finding Me, and this, Chief Satchel is the one that instigated this whole thing. I don't know if you know Dave Satchel, but
Yeah, I know Dave.
okay, wonderful man. But he prods in the right way sometimes. So I love him dearly. But anyway, uh, this identity that we create, because that's what you just said, and that's what you just described, doesn't go away though, brother. Back in the day, now I don't know how, things are different now, but back in my day, the saying was once a chief, always a chief. And not in the
Yes.
sense that you owned the place like you used to, or you didn't, obviously you didn't have the same responsibilities as you mentioned, but that identity had grown to being a person, like you said, taking care of people. And it's not just downward, good chiefs, effective chiefs affect everybody, families as well as bosses and all that kind of stuff. But that's who
Right.
we become. And without disagreeing with you, it doesn't have to stay to change. And maybe that's the point of this interview, is that it doesn't have to change. Whoever you are, you can still go do those things in a different way.
Right.
That's why I say, people ask me about being retired. I tell them I'm not retired, man. I'm refired. I'm working more now, but doing what I want to do and what I think I'm better at
Right.
than I did before, that I had to do for the money. Because a job is a job, and there's obviously there's at least a contractual agreement that I'm going to do this for you,
Right.
and you're going to pay me this so much. Well, now I don't, I do whatever I want. Well, I do whatever Deb says, but number two, I do. You know what I'm talking about? I
Right.
do
You get to
what
see what you.
I do what my purpose is, and that really hasn't changed. In fact, it kind of ignited itself. So you can still be you, because you've been working at this for 30 years, and now you're a better you than you were as Airman Hall, probably. Not that you were a bad, well, you had a rep, man. I heard about Airman Hall way back 30 years ago. Is that really? Does he do those? Yeah. So anyway, you grew up. I'm
Yes, and
lying.
so I will definitely I will agree with you on that. You you don't change just because you retired. You don't lose your purpose because you retired. I think the issue or the difficulties that a lot of people find is, where am I going to do that at? Because the Air Force provided me the opportunity to mentor young people. The Air Force provided me the opportunity to sit down with other airmen. It provided me the opportunity to grow, to develop, right? And if you haven't been working towards being able to do that outside of the Air Force, a lot of from what I can tell, a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
Fortunately for me, because I had some really, really great mentors, I started working on some things outside of the Air Force that I could continue to do, sort of like you. So I hope that as I transition as well as you have. And then that way I won't have to deal with that kind of that loss, that feeling of loss, like what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go? How am I still supposed to mentor? Because mentorship doesn't never stop. And I'll be honest, what I've also realized is um, people still reached out. Even when I put that last email on work, was like, please contact so and so. I am retired. People still call. people still picked up the cell phone and they called me and they asked me about things. You know what I'm saying? Now, I do understand that at some point, you can still call me and we can have a discussion about the Air Force, but the longer I'm out of the system, the more unfamiliar I will be with it because the system will continue to change and to get better. So
Right.
you can call me and I can give you maybe some life advice or some things that I've experienced myself. But at some point, I'm going to be so far removed from it, we'll be having, different types of conversations. But that's what I'm enjoying about it because even with us having a 30-year gap, you still provide mentorship to me. You provide, advice and ways to continue to move forward as a retired chief. Because, like you said, once a chief, always a chief. Once an airman, always an airman. No matter how long time goes by. That'll always be true for both of us.
Yeah, yeah, and a lot of times though, I think, Dan, we expect people to come ask for the help. The youngsters don't do that anymore, man, or it seems like that. Yeah, and
Right.
I've been teaching at the academy since 2002. I'm not officially teaching anymore, but still I see them, and you old guys, old school. Well, old school is foundational. Uh, I had for a while I had a podcast called Mom and Them Wisdom, foundational stuff that our parents taught us. Mom and them in particular. You're from the South, right?
Yes,
Okay, so you
Georgia.
know you know what mom and them means, and the mom and them taught us these particular things that were foundational
Right,
and made us a good person. Period. So wherever you go, however old you are, you stand up for people. You say sir, ma'am, all of the things
right.
that are important. But the youngsters don't. They don't. They're not seeking that anymore for some reason. Unless you put it in AI, I guess. Maybe we need an old farts AI. Maybe you and I will develop this thing. This is the way it used to be. But anyway, uh, we and again, I think the youngsters forget about it. And I'm saying youngsters, but I'm talking about 40-year-old chiefs that forget that we've been through it. Not that it's that we should tell you how to do it, but this is what happened when we did it. I think that's the learning that and with at the academy, obviously I created officers. Officers are terrible about recreating the wheel, reinventing the wheel. That new captain, then you know that you've had plenty of those. We call them commanders. Hey, let's do this different. Well, sir, we just went through that for the last 2 years, and now we know how to do it right. And you want to change it? Yeah, because I'm the boss. Okay, that. And I say that with all due respect, because I know a lot of good officers, but somehow they learned that they got to make their mark or whatever, which is a little bit different with us, I think. At least it was. I just went in there to do the best so that my troops would have the best life, and that
Right.
was what I was was more important to me. So a little bit different, but still, like I said, now you prepared yourself how, Dan? Educationally. Now, how long you been retired now? Is it 2 months? 1 month?
It hasn't even been a month.
Hasn't that man?
Yeah, so
Okay.
my
See,
retirement
time does
ceremony,
not fly that fast. Okay, you know how they
yeah,
say.
yes. So my retirement ceremony was February 6th. So at the end of this week, it will be a month.
A month. Okay.
And so for me, uh, so first, as far as the education piece, I always knew education was important, regardless if we were talking about improving myself as an airman or for later years improving myself as just Daniel, right? And so that was something that was always part. And both of my parents are educators, so
Oh, are
I
they
was
really?
not going.
I
Yes, I
didn't know
was
that.
not going to get around that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was something that was ingrained in me
That was
from
really mom and
my
them.
yeah, yes, from early years. My mother and father always, stressed the importance of education,
Right.
just for self improvement, not necessarily to, make millions and millions of dollars, but self improvement. You have to educate yourself in some form or fashion, regardless, uh, uh, whether it's college, whether it's a trade school, whether it's learning a new instrument. Education is important. I think sometimes we get a little bit of tunnel vision and everyone goes, it's a degree, it's a degree. Nope, it don't have to be a degree. It has to just be something that improves you. And so education was something early I did. Pretty much, I think by the time my master sergeant, I had pretty much I had taken care of my bachelor's, I had taken care of my master's. So I was pretty much done after that. And then years after that, I just worked on like certifications. I went out and just, read. I took a couple like little trade classes here and there, picked up some skills over the time in order to prepare, actually prepare myself for that day, when I did retire. And then after that, to be quite honest, I started working on how I could still continue to help develop people from there. And so over the years, throughout the years, I'll probably go back early, somewhere when I was around a tech sergeant. I really got involved in leadership thanks to a chief master sergeant. Um, Mike Leitner. He was our CEM, and then eventually he was our SEL. But anyway, I was already in the leadership, but he just kind of opened the door a little bit wider, and I realized I had a connection with it. And so from there, I started to kind of build a brand, I guess, for myself, and to also create an avenue to where I could still lead. And then last year, I launched From Me to You leadership, just to kind of encourage people, help people develop. It's more of a storytelling. You share, I share lessons learned, because I don't know everything. So I'm always open to learning from other people as well. And I learned over time, dialogue, communication seems, for me, what I've seen always seems to encourage people to do more, help to develop. When it's a one-sided kind of deal, people will listen, but a lot of times they won't absorb it. Like, hey, this is what I should do, because there's not an interaction between the two. So I find that storytelling and just sharing lessons learned helps to develop a lot. And that's how I learned. I needed to be able to communicate back and forth with a leader in order to take whatever you were sharing and apply it to me. Because everything, just because I share it, don't mean it applies to you. But you may be able to take a section of it, go, okay, that makes sense to me, and that applies to me in this way or that way. In other way, and like I said, just because it sounds good doesn't mean that I need it.
Right.
And that's what I kind of did to, actually prepare. And then I just kind of started growing my brand. And then I also just reached out to people. A lot of people forget that. I just picked up the phone and I called people who had been retired 20, 30 years. And I was like, so what is it like on the other side, truly? What is it truly like on the other side? And thankfully, a lot of them they were honest about it. Some retired and they only went to base to pick up medication.
Yeah.
Some retired and they joined the retired activities office. And so they're there at the base maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And so that was what I'm saying? Like, some people's like, I retired and I was done with it. Some people retire and, they engage on social media,
Right. Yeah.
current events.
Right.
Other retired, I don't want nothing to do with it.
Right.
I love the Air Force, but I don't want to get involved in what's currently happening.
Yeah.
I did my time, and I'm gonna let the young people do their time. So everyone had, different approaches to it. And for me, I've been kind of trying to create who I want to be as a retired chief versus an active duty chief, right? I enjoy coming to the base, but I don't see myself here every week. You know, you know, uh, I stay up on current events, but you probably won't see me on Facebook or LinkedIn talking about what's going on, what's happening, because
we don't know anymore.
Exactly.
And I don't know. We don't know enough to make
right.
Any of those assertions. Yeah.
Exactly right. I'm not gonna get to the ins and outs. Should we have done this? Shouldn't we? I don't know, because I wasn't in those briefings. I have no idea.
Right.
So I choose to not engaged in that.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that I do not care, and it doesn't mean that I'm not praying for all of my brothers and sisters that are in harm's way.
Yeah.
You just won't find me on Facebook sharing my opinion on it.
Yeah. I
That's
understand.
just not my lane.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
but
all
you
of that
know,
is valid.
yeah,
One thing that bothers me sometimes, Dan, is that on social media, and I know you're there, and I appreciate what you say, but some people are haters. It's like they hate that you're still involved and that you're doing stuff. And I'm thinking, well, you don't have to appreciate it or like it, but don't be a hater. Let us do whatever we're gonna do.
right,
And as you know, I'm still involved with especially the academy and people all over the world, really. But but and that's my thing. So let
right,
me do my thing, you go do your thing, and we're good. Because
right,
what the worst thing is when we argue amongst each other publicly.
hmm
And you remember, I don't know how, again, it's been several years, 30 years, but back in the day, we'd go behind closed doors, the Chiefs, and we'd cuss and discuss pretty darn hard. But once
right,
we got out of that room, we're all on the same page. The we had those discussions, if you will, and but we were all on the same page when we go out there, because the troops can't hear what we're arguing about, and they shouldn't. And now with social media, you can say whatever you want, and some of the pages that
right,
I see is like, man, maybe you shouldn't say that stuff. Yeah, it's okay that you believe it, but don't say it, and because you're instigating crap that the youngsters don't need to listen to hear,
right,
because they're still growing up and they don't know. They know way less than we do about some things. So, uh,
right,
as far as education, Dan, and by well, as chiefs, as we're transitioning, but anybody, having been an educator for, gosh, for decades, if nothing else, that degree helps you get your foot in the door. That
right,
I've been watching and talking to some CEOs and stuff lately who tell me, the resume really doesn't mean anything, because I'm not going to read it, but it'll get you inside the door. It'll get you that interview, and then I can talk to you and figure out who you are, and come out and find the truth. Because what I think there was a story last week about someone, and I'm sure it happens all the time. Their resume had been built by AI, and it was not the guy. It wasn't the person. Once they started talking to him, what about this? What about this? And the person didn't even. He wasn't smart enough to read his own resume.
right,
So nowadays it just gets flaky. But again, it may be the door opener, so you can at least talk to the person. So, and with I don't I think you're like me or similar, Dan, is that especially in this world, having been a chief of, I don't know, since 91, 90, something like that. That's a lot of years. But I won't allow certain things to happen that other people may allow to happen. You know what I'm saying? That my wife sometimes wonders, well, they're going to think you're stalking the kids, because I live up in the mountains, a lot of trees and all that stuff. I'm not stalking them. I'm making sure that they get on the bus safely to go to school. You know,
right,
and up here, and maybe the parents are there. I don't know. I don't see the parents, but you know what? Nobody's going to mess with those kids. Well, I can see. No, I may not get out to that bus fast enough, but I'm gonna go
right,
out and do whatever I got to do to take care of them, because that's what I was taught. I don't care who you are. The
right,
Airman's Creed: I will never leave an airman behind. Well, you know what? I ain't leaving nobody behind, because
right,
that's the way I was brought up. So, and I think our culture needs that more and more. And we see plenty of stories, good stories, about veterans doing stuff that others wouldn't even think about doing. Well,
right.
we're here to protect everyone, and you can't take that away from us, because that's just the way we were brought up. So, are you happy so far this month? I mean, almost a month. Are you feeling good about you? You got her done. You're that part of it. Are you feeling good about it? And that's important, Dan. I think, because it's just another chapter.
Right.
It's another PCS. You know, you
Yes.
remember going to the new assignment day one, man. We're all excited about. Okay, come on, now let's do this. And it's the same thing. I think with retiring, that it's just another chapter. And now you don't have to do what you don't have to do. But you know what? What's for me at first, the hardest thing was, what do I wear today? for
Yes,
30
I
years.
had.
For 30
Yes,
years, I wore green, man, and once in a while blue. But I wore, and my uniform is still in the
yes.
closet, just in case anybody wants to call me at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm ready. I will shave, and I got my hair short. Well, you don't need that anymore. But anyway, I'm ready to do it. But that was, I mean, no kidding, that was hard because I retired in Germany and came to work 2 weeks afterwards at the Air Force Academy, and I got all these clothes that Deb got me. I'm thinking, I don't know what to wear. You know,
Right.
where are my combat boots? And that didn't go with a coat and a suit and tie, So,
Yes, and so I struggle with that just a little bit, not much, but of course it was something different because, like you said, Monday through Friday there was no thought behind what I was, what I was going to wear. I already knew I was going to get up, I was going to put on the uniform, and then I was going to go to work. And every once in a while I put on some blues here and there, and then every once in a while you put on some, a mess dress here and there for a night. But there was really not, a lot of thought behind it. I already knew. And then once you retire, you're kind of sitting there and you're like, what am I going to wear today? And so you start looking through the closet. You go, man, I've had this shirt for years, because, you never wear it.
yeah,
But fortunately, like you said, because of my wife, I was able to figure that out. And my kids as well. My kids like, you can't wear that. What is that? Please go change. And so, and so I definitely made some adjustments with that. So that wasn't bad. But overall, I'm happy. I'm excited about the new challenges, uh, that I have ahead. Uh, but at the same token, I will say I am a little sad that uh, I'm no longer part of the process because when you do your retirement ceremony, I looked at it as it was that was letting everybody know it was final, it was done. Because you can say it and you can write it and you can email it, but once you have that ceremony, everyone sitting in that room understands this is it. This is final.
yeah,
And uh, I think that there was a tough piece for me because it was the end. It was an official end. Here we go. It's done. It's over. And I left out of that room and it was done. And I put my blues in the closet and that was pretty much it. And so that was a little tough, but overall, I've been feeling really good. I've been feeling really good. I think I'd probably say the the biggest difference is just navigating that new space that you're in.
yeah,
You're still chief, whatever your last name may be, but you have a different status.
right,
You're retired chief.
right,
So when you walk up to the pharmacy, you click retire. You don't click active duty,
yeah,
right? And then you move to the end of the line.
right,
So I think learning those nuances of being retired is something that I will have to get used to,
yeah,
But I'm doing well with it. And I think because I saw that as a kid, my father go through that,
yeah,
I have a better understanding probably than a lot
right,
that do retire without a military background.
yeah,
And so, but overall, it's been good. Like I said, I just been uh, just navigating it,
yeah,
writing a couple resumes here and there,
yeah,
seeing some things, see what if I like this, if I like that, and
yeah,
then we'll see what happens in a few months where
yeah,
I end up.
yeah. And you're a faithful man, so you will go where you're supposed to go. And
Yes, sir.
now the hard part sometimes is enjoying it because, your purpose is not always fun, but there's always joy in it. I think you on one of your posts this morning had something to do with joy. Yeah,
Yes.
find it and practice it and do it so often that you are it. Dan,
Yes, sir.
thank you so much for your service and your family for your service, and I look forward to hanging out with you still a little bit in different circumstances. And
Yes, sir.
but we still got work to do, man. You remember that song, Isley Brothers, was it? Uh, we got work to do. So
Yes, sir.
I ain't gonna let you back off, man. You know that. I'll be on you if I have to get done what you got to get done. Okay, God put you
Yes,
here
sir.
for a purpose. We're gonna find it, and I think you already know it. And you're gonna do it well. I know you are.
Thank you so much.
All right. God bless you, brother.
God bless you. Have a great one.
Thank you for listening. We hope that you've gained something from this episode that will empower you to become a more effective leader. If you'd like to connect with us, please do so via our website at leadershipandforesight.org. The book So You Want to Be the Chief is available on Amazon.com and on Apple Books. This podcast is powered by the Institute for Leadership and Strategic Foresight.